Live by the Sword is the sixth full-length album from Cardinals Folly. This is a Helsinki, Finland-based doom metal trio, which started out with different members. The lineup was, not the same, and they all had pretty interesting names. Count Karnstein is the main person behind it, and the early style of the band was probably more similar to, I guess I would say, something like somewhere between the slower side of Reverend Bizarre and the more psychedelic side of Doom. They definitely had their own personality in mind, but it was more of an aggressive style of Finnish doom metal, as has been kind of tradition since the late 90s when Reverend Bizarre kind of took that whole scene with them. And I feel like this group, this artist and the way that he writes songs has found his own voice as, kind of pushing beyond that nudge. And there's a lot of groups in this style, but this record is, well, the last few even, have shown that this band have a big personality. And I think that's hard to come by when you're a slow doom metal band. And what this record in particular does is solve that problem by speeding up and taking a lot more influence from traditional heavy metal. So we'll cut into a song here and get right to the catchier pieces on this album, right? So there's a lot to the signature of Cardinals Folly as it has developed. I think that one of the things that is big about their sound is that there's a little bit of like an extreme metal edge. There's always kind of a heavier guitar tone that is a little bit more incendiary. They have a strong focus on melody that has built over time, and they've worked in some epic heavy metal here and there without pulling away from their sort of I guess a personality we haven't really seen much since those early 2000s, where bands like, or I guess late 2000s, really with, like Lamp of Thoth and groups that were not only tuneful, but they were a bit over top. They were sort of reveling in the big personalities of the 70s and 80s and making it their own with, like eldritch horror and things like that. In the case of Cardinals Folly, it's more occult fiction and that kind of thing. And so there's a bit of a character behind everything that they do and the stories they tell, and they back it up with songs that are that have choruses that are repetitive to the point where you're going to remember them. And I think that's a really valuable thing to have in doom metal today, where abstraction seems to be what interests the scatterbrains out there anymore. So there's a bit of an edge to their sound. There's a unique register to the way that he emphasizes certain vocals and certain phrases, and it's both narrative and amusing, and certainly entertaining for the heavy metal that it is. And so, for me, this is just one of the better traditional doom metal bands out there today, and I think that they are idiosyncratic, and that's what helps it along, and that's what makes it stick in mind. Otherwise, I think that this is probably a lower score than I expected to give it, and that's because while it is catchy and there is inherently some lasting value, I found myself really remembering and sticking with this record for about 2 or 3 weeks, and then I just had so much else to consider that it was fun to return to, but it wasn't necessarily hammered into my brain like the classics were. And maybe I listened to too much doom metal, and this was just a very strong record in this specific style, and I think it's one of their best. So it could grow on me. We'll see how I feel at the end of the year when I count up all the, couple hundred doom metal albums I've listened to, and start to see what really stuck. So, as is, I think this is one of the finer records in the style of the month, and certainly a notable one this year. And go ahead and check that out today. It's out today, and you can read the review for more information. Body